So that was the Habanera from Carmen, sung by the fabulous Isabel Leonard. And I'm Clive Gillinson, the Executive and Artistic Director of Carnegie Hall. And it's wonderful to welcome you to Live with Carnegie Hall. It's also wonderful to have Isabel with us today on the virtual Carnegie Hall stage. Not only is she an artist who regularly performs on our stages, but she's also a great friend, as well as an artist trustee of Carnegie Hall. So in fact, in theory, she's my boss, I guess. And Isabel, welcome.
Well, that's fun.
Don't take advantage of it.
I could never. I do like it though. That's fun. That's fun. That's a perfect introduction. Thank you.
But Isabel, since you first graced our stages in 2005 as a participant in Marilyn Horne's masterclass series here, and since then you've become one of the world's most celebrated artists. Aside from your regular performances here, you perform on very, very often at the Metropolitan Opera here in New York, the Salzburg Festival, the Bavarian State Opera, Paris Opera, Vienna State Opera, and the list goes on, all around the world. So, Isabel, one of the things I've always found wonderful about your artistry is the extraordinary range and breadth of repertoire and musical interests you have. One day you'll be singing early opera by Vivaldi, or you'll be singing a piece by Nico Muhly, fiery Spanish songs, or jazz standards from the Great American Songbook. So you bring fantastic curiosity, versatility, and vitality to everything that you do. And certainly we love our musical and personal relationship with you at Carnegie Hall, and the fact that you're so centrally involved with the future of the hall as well. So it'll be wonderful to hear from you, to hear you tell us what you're bringing to us today. So we really look forward, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I mean, this has been a pleasure and a challenge in its own right, considering the medium that we have all been sort of thrust into pretty rapidly, at least for the classical music world. But you know, we all take this challenge head on. I think when we discussed doing this program, I was, I think, a little probably overwhelmed at first, thinking, what am I going to do for an hour program, thinking, of course, oh, that's not going to be very interesting. And then as we discussed all of the repertoire that was already out there, that it's in the archives, whether it's at Carnegie or at the Metropolitan Opera or in various different places, I started to even myself get a picture of the different things, like you said, that are out there. And some which have been highlights for me, like Sesame Street, right? And it's been an absolute life highlight. And so when I started looking at all of the media that was there, I thought, well, you know, this would be a perfect opportunity to really express my love for all of these things and my appreciation for having been able to do all of these different projects. And it reminds me, actually, and perhaps as sophomoric as it might sound, but it reminds me of my college essay that I wrote, in which I essentially stated that good music is good music is good music. It wasn't about being an opera singer, which I certainly didn't know that I was going to do or wanted to do, for that matter. I just knew that I wanted to be involved in the theater, and I wanted to be on stage, and I wanted to tell good stories, and all of that had to tie in with music. And so that's really what this program is for me. It's about good music crossing all different genres and being able to communicate with different people through music, and just finding that through line, you know, which for me, of course, is joy and usually a lot of silliness involved. And so this program has a lot of different things. It has obviously Carmen, and it has some excerpts from different productions I've done at the Metropolitan Opera. You'll see the clip from Sesame Street that I'm very proud of, and my son is as well, and as well as some of the more traditional jazz standards. I am beyond honored to sing a duet with Wycliffe Gordon. It was something I never would have thought would have happened in my wildest of dreams, and now we're putting it together in this kind of a situation. And so that's been really wonderful. and to sing with one of my good friends, Janai, and to sing Mozart together, which we both love. It's just a great pleasure to be able to put something like this together and try to make it interesting, especially try to make it interesting for me, because I'm my biggest critic.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a buffet, I guess, of everything.
Well, I'm sure it'll be fascinating for everybody else as well. And what you said about music is music is music. I mean, the fact is, it's what Carnegie Hall's about as well, the
Right.
best of every sort of music. And so we're very much, on the same wavelength and with the same
Right.
values as you around all of this. So Isabel, thank you very much again for joining us on Live with Carnegie Hall. And we look forward to a wonderful exploration with you.
Well, thank you. I hope you enjoy it.
Thanks.
Hello, Isabel. It's a delight to welcome you to the broadcast. So nice to see you.
It's so nice to see you again on screen. That's what we do these days.
We've been keeping in touch during this period in several different capacities, including through your ISA chats. So let us know, first of all, how you're doing.
Well, I'm okay. I'm healthy. My family's healthy, and we have been fortunate that we could quarantine pretty strictly and stay out, or rather stay in, and stay out of anybody else's hair, I guess would be the thing. And we're doing okay, hanging in there, I think, like everybody else, and also, trying to keep on growing with the times, right? There's a lot going on right now, and there's a lot to read and absorb and listen to, and if we're going to have a time to do it, it would be now. So that's what we're doing.
Isabel, we both miss the stage as performers, but let's talk about Carnegie Hall. What's so special about this place with which you already have a 15-year association? What does it feel like to be on stage there?
Well, when you go into these incredible halls, you can feel, the ghosts of the past, as we talk about. You feel the walls, like the vibration of the space is almost tangible, at least to the artists. And we know the people that have walked on the stage. We know the feet that have come before us. And there's a wonderful sense of upholding tradition and upholding the excellence that has been in that space. And so there's a great sense of responsibility, as well as total, honor and humbleness that comes with that as well. And it's just a great feeling to feel like you're part of a much larger legacy, a much larger family, really, especially like a place like Carnegie, where they invite all genres into their halls and all sorts of different kinds of artists. And so you're really sharing, it's like you're really having a little microcosm, a little world in Carnegie, and to be a part of that is really special.
So let's get right into some music. I know that we have a really special and amusing clip to introduce here. You appeared on Sesame Street, and I know that there was a particular story about how that happened and how you crossed the Atlantic just to make it.
I did. One of the things that I did, I suppose, when I was a little younger, it was a great experience. I had gotten a phone call from the PR department, actually at the Met at the time, because I guess Sesame Street had contacted them. And they got in touch with me. Long story short, they said, "Do you want to do this?" I said, "Yes, but I'm in London." I was at Glyndebourne at the time. And they thought, "Oh, well, maybe that'd be too difficult." I said, No, not too difficult. I will fly in. Don't worry. Just tell me when I have to be there. And I figured it all out. And luckily, Glyndebourne was kind enough to let me out for that day, or 30 hours or whatever it was. And I flew back to New York after a morning rehearsal, I think at Carnegie, after a morning rehearsal at Glyndebourne. I got in late that night to New York. The next morning I woke up, I had a lesson. I don't know what I was thinking. And then I went straight into the shoot. I did the shoot, and then I went back to the airport that night, and I flew back to London, and I got back the following day, and I went straight to rehearsal. So yeah, there was no way I was going to miss that opportunity. I could have been anywhere in the world. I told him, I said, I could be on the moon. I'd come back.
Well, I'm very excited to see it, and here it is, a clip from People in Your Neighborhood from Sesame Street.
Where are you taking me, ovejita?
Hola, ovejita.
¿Cómo estás, Isabel?
Muy bien, ¿y vos?
Este es mi amigo Murray.
Hi, Murray.
Hi, Isabel. It's so nice to meet you. Isabel, what do you do in the neighborhood?
Well, I'm an opera singer.
You're an opera singer?
Yeah.
Wow, an opera singer. What's an opera?
An opera is sort of like a play, except the actors don't speak their lines, they sing their lines.
Oh, and what kind of stories do you tell in the opera?
Oh, lots of different stories. There are romantic stories, there are adventurous stories, sad stories, yep, happy stories, all sorts of different kinds of stories. Yes.
Where do you sing the opera?
Well, we sing opera all over the world.
And do you sing it in English?
We can sing in English, and we sing in Italian, and we sing in French, and German, and Russian.
And right now you have on a very fancy dress. Are you going on a big bowling date?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah,
no,
not good
this
bowling.
is actually a costume from The Barber of Seville. My character wears this costume, and her name is Rosina.
Rosina! Isabel, how do you become an opera singer?
Kind of like an athlete, you need somebody to train you and teach you how to do it correctly.
And do you have to do exercises to keep your voice in shape?
Mm-hmm. One exercise that we like to do is kind of silly. We say, hung, me, 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 me. Very good. That's really, really, really
I
good.
like that one. Are there other vocal exercises to do?
Sure, we do things called lip trills, and that goes like this.
Oh, I just got... that's a sloppy one. I'm gonna make some of my own music, because I'm gonna sing with Isabel. Oh, what opera are we gonna sing, Isabel?
We're gonna sing an aria from The Barber of Seville.
And what language are we singing in?
Oh, we're gonna sing in Italian.
Italian? Oh, I don't even know any Italian. Oh, what's my line?
You're going to say yes.
How do I say that in Italian?
Si.
Sí. Es lo mismo en español. Yeah, it is the same as Spanish, ovejita. Okay, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready. Lights, please. You're on.
Una voce poco fa, qui nel cor mi risuonò, il mio cor ferito è già, e Mary fu che gli piagò.
Sì.
Mary mio sarà, lo giurai, la vincerò.
See.
See, Mary will be mine. Oh, Mary, mio sarà.
See. Wow, you really sing beautifully.
Thank you.
I love being an opera singer. It sure is cool meeting people in your neighborhood.
Isabel, I'm so curious to ask you, what initially drew you to the power of opera as an art form?
That's a good question. I have to say, in truth, that I sort of stumbled upon opera itself. I went to a performing arts high school, and then I applied for many conservatories for college, and I was accepted at Juilliard. And in that process, by going to Juilliard as for my undergrad and then in my master's, that was really where I was entrenched in the classical music world, and therefore opera. And so I really only started learning opera once I got to school there. In high school, I sang a lot of musical theater. I sang with a jazz band. We sang a lot of Gervin and Sullivan. We did a lot of different things, actually. And I'm trying to think if I sang any opera. I mean, I may have sung some of Zerlina's arias when I was in high school, and that might have been as far as I got. So it was really when I entered Juilliard, and then it was, talk about going into the deep end immediately and learning all the things that you can. And I just found, again, for me, the love of music comes from good storytelling and great characters and the theater of it and the honest projection of these characters. And when you can do that in opera, it's terrific. And so I kept on falling more and more as I did it. And I just became entrenched in it.
And we're about to have two musical selections from The Marriage of Figaro. But before we get to them, I'm wondering, what is it about opera that you most miss these days?
Oh, honestly, I miss hearing live music more than anything. I miss hearing the orchestra. I miss hearing the live sound of the strings and just everybody. I miss hearing my colleagues next to me. I miss being able to see people's faces. I miss feeling the vibration of their sound and just the vibration of their bodies. There's so much energy and sort of magnetic things that happen on stage between you and your colleagues and the conductor and the orchestra and the stage crew. I mean, everybody, it's a well-oiled machine, and we take it for granted many, many years into the business because it just happens. And I think perhaps, when and if, and hopefully soon we go back to it, I hope that there's going to be a great appreciation for all of the elements that are working together to create this one voice, really, this one storytelling voice. And anyway, I miss that. I miss it in many, many ways.
And tell us about the two musical selections we're about to hear.
So two Mozart pieces. One, Voi che sapete, from The Marriage of Figaro, which I've sung so many times now, and Cherubino has been one of these characters who has lived with me now for many years and has grown and evolved over the many different productions that I've done. And he just, he's been a fun journey as a character. I have to say that in the beginning, I didn't love singing him because I thought it was difficult. People think the arias, they don't realize how tricky the arias are just from where they sit on a technical point of view. And so after many years of practicing, I finally found, I sort of made peace with him. And then that's when he and I really started to play. And that's when we have a lot of fun together. It's sort of a funny thing to say. And then the other is a duet with Janai Brugger, my friend, beautiful soprano. And we're singing Sull'aria, which I've never sung before. So this is actually my Contessa debut for this program. And I just thought it would be wonderful to sing something with Janai. We never get to sing together, it seems. But I absolutely love her voice and I love the way she sings. And I said to her, do you want to sing Sull'aria? And she was very excited and she says, I love it. And so I thought, okay, well, if you love it, then let's do it, and I wanted it to be about something that she was really going to enjoy doing with me. And so that's how we picked it, just for fun. And I'm sort of still learning it.
Well, I'm very excited. Let's have a listen. So Isabel, now we move from the world of opera to the slightly more intimate world of song and recital. This is another capacity in which you excel. Do you really feel that they are so different?
I have to say that again, I've said this so many times, like music is, music is music, good music is good music, singing is singing. For me, I've always thought that one should sing with one's voice, no matter the repertoire. And I think the difference is, between something like opera and a song recital is that when you're singing in a very large opera house, that, like many of the large or even the smaller jewel box theaters that you would see around Europe, you're still having to project a certain amount of voice, a certain amount of volume within that space. And so your range, even as something as simple as a dynamic range, your dynamic range is slightly limited. I would say a lot of houses have great acoustics, and so you actually can still play around quite a bit. But with a recital, when it's just you, maybe and a pianist, or you and a guitarist, that your dynamic levels are beyond, you can really go to the softest of lows, and play around with different types of colors that may not project very well in a larger hall. And when you're in a smaller space, you can really play around with a lot of different things. And so that just adds colors, I think, to what our voices are doing already naturally, rather than shifting gears and thinking that it's a completely different entity or completely different, animal. And so for me, song recitals have also been a place, a venue in which, and I know many of my colleagues who feel the same way, it's a venue in which we can present really what we would like to present. In the opera, you're doing what's on the score, what's written, and what's asked of you from the director, from the conductor. And with a recital, it's really you presenting who you are as a musician and your musical tastes, your programming ideas. It's like you're cooking a meal for people rather than catering some other meal. And so that really has a lot of flexibility in it. And also it could be mildly terrifying, because now you're going, oh gosh, are they going to like the program that I put together? Everything sort of lands on your shoulders. But that can also be quite liberating.
So this question of who we are as musicians, especially during a time like this, I'm curious to ask you a slightly more reflective question, which is, in the absence of stage and performing right now, do you feel like you still are a musician in this world of wanting to express something, and suddenly you don't have at least the in-person connection with an audience in the
sort of like, do you hear the tree that falls in the wood if you're not there, kind of thing. I mean, look, I think there are two parts to it. I think musicians are always musicians, whether somebody's there or not. I think it's something that for those of us who, whom it brings joy, like it'll just bring joy no matter what. And I think the times right now are very tricky, and they add layers of emotion that affect the way we see ourselves, I think, or the affect, not so much maybe how we see ourselves, at least in my personal case, but more my energy towards the producing of music. The energy that I have to practice, for example, at home without real sort of tangible goals in mind, that's tricky. And that's when you have to sort of talk to yourself and say, nothing has changed about who I am as a musician. You know, I'm not a different artist. I'm not a different singer. The medium has changed for now, hopefully temporarily. And you have to allow yourself to feel what it is that you're going to feel. You know, the loss of your job and the loss of your livelihood for anybody in any career, in any business, is a very difficult thing to swallow. And so you have to just decide what is it you're going to do with that information. I would say that in the last few months, all of us, all of my colleagues have had varying degrees of reactions to the situation. Many people have, you know, couldn't practice at all for the first few months or first few weeks. And some people could keep going, and now they're feeling a little bit more of that low. I think it's really a personal journey. For me personally, I try to see the time as a forced pause, which fortunately I have not had much of in my career thus far. And so it has sort of a double-edged feel to it. You know, I've been very busy, and I've been extremely lucky to be so fortunate and to work as much as I have. And there have been many times in the past where I have wished for time off because I'm either getting close to being burnt out or almost burnt out entirely, or I miss my family, or I miss being home for more than a couple of days. And so now I take a look at all those wishes and I say, okay, all right, fine. This is it. I got the time now. So now what are you going to do with it? and then see how you come out on the other end. And I've spoken to a lot of students as well who say, what should I be doing in this time? And I said, you know, I think you should just be working. You should be working on yourself. Keep working on your technique, keep singing every day, because this is who you are, right? With or without an audience, this is who you are. And when things do eventually come back, and I have to believe that they will, you want to be ready, because that's always been one of those things we discuss in the business as well. When you are prepared and ready, that's when the opportunities come. Yes, we could call it luck, but I think luck is a very fine-tuned combination between preparation and being there and being the first one through that door. So maybe people think that's competitive, but I think it's also the excitement and the desire to do what we do because we love it and it fulfills our souls. So it's all tied into one. It's a hard question to answer.
That's a beautiful, beautiful answer, and I'm so excited about the next 3 numbers that we'll hear, because I think within these we'll really have the chance to enjoy this sense of additional space to breathe artistically and just to enjoy incredible music. That I was so tickled actually to know that you were singing Nana, for example, because I just presented this on Saturday with the Mainly Mozart Festival with our friend Eileen Perez.
Oh.
These pieces before, I think I had heard them, but here are the 3 pieces. What do we need to know about these?
That they're beautiful. I love the lullabies. I'm obviously, you know, I started singing these songs when I was in college. And my first experience was listening or watching actually a video recording of Teresa Berganza singing these songs. And that's how I became enthralled and wanted to learn them. And I sang them through my undergrad, through my master's. I sang them so many times in concerts, and I've done the whole set, you know, with piano, with orchestra, with guitar, and apparently there's a 2-harp edition, which I didn't know about. And I always used to joke in recitals that as much as I would love to do that version, I think it would be hard to tour with 2 harps. So it's just been a great piece. There's so much, the text is wonderful. They're small vignettes, you know, small stories. And they're wonderfully, you can relate to each one of them. And as you evolve in your own life and grow up in your own life, now that I have a child, you can really relate to some of them, like the lullaby, even more deeply. And that's wonderful.
Let's have a listen.
Permette, niño,
Isabel, now we get to talk about Maria Callas. And Callas is a singer who has impacted almost every musical artist. What did she mean to you?
Well, so when I was in high school, I think it was, I used to listen to Renata Tebaldi and Callas all the time. These were the two, which is, of course, and I knew all the history. I knew all the so-called rival history, even though I'm sure they were actually friends. And I thought that they were sort of this perfect combination. There was this perfect duo, you know, of voice and of intensity. And Callas to me was always, as we know, and as we discuss about her so often in the opera world, you know, she was a real singing actress, and she had an intensity about her that was unusual and isn't seen very often. And I'm just simply drawn to that intensity. I think there are probably layers and layers of perhaps pain in her as a woman, as a person that come through. I mean, our life stories affect our art so much, all of us. And I think that some people are translucent in that sense, or they so that light or that pain or whatever it is really shines through their skin almost. And I believe that she was very much like that.
Isabel, I'm so curious to know a little bit more about what we're about to see. So this is a film project about Maria Callas, and it involves acting. And I do know, and I'm told, that your ability to mimic her gestures and her whole demeanor is uncanny. So was it difficult to prepare for this project?
So one of my friends, Nicole Alexander, she is a producer and filmmaker, and she wanted to create a project, an unnamed Callas project. And it's lightly based on Terrence McNally's masterclass. And we created a sizzle for this in order to try and garner support for the project. And it was a great project. Originally, you know, there's a longer history with me in terms of the actual play, but for this particular project, she came to me and asked if I wanted to play Callas, and I was terrified. So I said yes, and as one does, I guess, when they're terrified to do things. And I spent, you know, the next however many days or amount of time we were preparing to do this project, watching all the videos that I could watch of Callas and listening to her speak and listening to her, just the way she would say things, the way she would move her hands, her gestures, her posture, as much as I could. You know, we put this together relatively fast. And it was fun. And there's still so much, you know, if and I hope we do continue to do this project, I would try to scrap almost everything that I thought I learned and do it all over again from scratch. Because of course, again, I look at the video and I want to dive under a rock. But it was a fascinating project to really try and get into the shoes of somebody who is such an icon. And that has also a lot of, that has a big scare factor in it as well, because everybody knows, well, at least everybody in our business, you know, everybody knows Callas. Everybody has some sort of a story about her. And people have personal stories about her, not even just, oh, I saw her do this. Some of them either knew her or worked with her or you know, saw however many hundreds of productions. And so, you know, there's a lot of that sense of responsibility to portray a character that is so well known and so well beloved. You feel a lot of responsibility to do it correctly. And so, like I said, I dive under a rock when I see this, but it is a project that I am passionate about, and I really hope that we can be able to actually make the full length film.
Let's have a look.
Wow, you look nice, money.
Ari. Ari. Marry me.
Don't be ridiculous, Maria.
Ari. The richest man in the world. And the most famous opera singer, huh?
Yeah. Fired from every opera house known to man. Nobody gives a shit about that kind of music anymore. You understand, Maria? All they care about is what you and I do in bed.
You love me.
Oui, Maria.
Ari, I'm pregnant.
No.
Ari, please.
No.
Ari, please let me have a
No.
child. Ari, this time, please let me.
No!
This is how we speak to God.
Non credermi rariti, si presto estinto fiore, passasti al cor d'amore, che un giorno sarà, che un giorno salverò, che un giorno solo
The headlines when Jackie Kennedy, America's former First Lady, became the second Mrs. Aristotle Onassis.
passasti al cor d'amore.
Well, Isabel, I know that you have many eager and adoring fans who are waiting to interact with you, so I wanted to remind all of our viewers tuned in that you are welcome to submit your questions for Isabel live. We will answer them here, and you're welcome to submit them through Facebook or YouTube, and we look forward to hearing from you. Well, Isabel, now we get to talk about music that's completely different. I know that you listen to a lot of jazz, and I know that your favorite musician is Ella Fitzgerald. I'm so surprised by this, but maybe not that surprised given your versatility as a musician.
Oh, well, so I grew up listening to Ella Fitzgerald. She, and on all the great ladies of song, I just, between Ella Fitzgerald and Nina Simone and Etta James and Billie Holiday, and then there was Doris Day, and there's just, the list goes on, but Ella was my go-to every single day, as well as Frank Sinatra. So I always like to say, in sort of a sweet way, I guess, that I sort of learned how to sing from Ella and Frank, or I tried to. God, don't we all try? Don't we all try to sound like them? And to spin a phrase the way they do, and just everything, the rhythm and the ease at which they communicate. It's just phenomenal. So I am, I'm very, very, very the music of Ella Fitzgerald is very close to my heart. And listening to her and Louis Armstrong and all these duets, I mean, we all know this. We all know the music. We can tell what's playing by the first chord we hear in a restaurant, you know, or wherever we're listening. And if that's on, we know what's coming. It's so ingrained. So this is music that that I love, and I've always wanted to be a part of it more. And it just so happens here because I ended up in the world of opera, and I ended up very much entrenched in that there wasn't really time to continue exploring the things that I had done in high school to the extent that I was doing them at that time. And so I think now, and as I've moved into 15 or 16 years into my career, I decided that I really wanted to continue that, or not continue. I wanted to kind of go back and learn again, and try, because the music, I love it so very much. And so the next two pieces, the two duets, one with Michael Feinstein and one with Wycliffe Gordon, are just fun, sheer fun for me. And I've learned so much working with the two of them. And I still have so much to learn. But it is definitely I love the sensibility of the music. I love the rhythmic sensibility of the music. I love the nature of the collaborations. I love the nature of improvisation. And I love the proficiency that you have to have in order to be able to do this kind of music. And so I have the utmost respect, the utmost respect for both of those gentlemen. And these collaborations have been great fun. Great fun.
Let's have a listen. I'm really looking forward to this.
There's starlight shining from the skies, a love light shining in your eyes, oh sweetheart, what a night for you and me. Enfold me, press your lips to mine and hold me. It would be divine, oh sweetheart, make this night a memory.
Under a blanket of blue, just you and I beneath the stars, wrapped in the arms of sweet romance. The night is ours, yes.
Under a blanket of blue, let me be thrilled by all your charms. Darling, I know my heart will dance within your arms.
A summer night's magic enthralling me so. The night would be tragic if you weren't here to share it, my dear.
Covered with heaven above, let's dream a dream of love for two, wrapped in the arms of sweet romance, under a blanket of blue. be tragic if you weren't here to share it, my dear. Covered in heaven above, let's dream a dream of love for two, wrapped in the arms of sweet romance, under a blanket of blue.
Yes, under a blanket of blue, yes.
Under a blanket of blue. Heaven, I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak, and I seem to find the happiness I see when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Sweet
heaven, I'm in heaven, and the cares that hung around me through the week seem to vanish like a gambler's lucky streak when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek.
I won't dance, don't ask me. I won't dance, don't ask me. I won't dance, monsieur, with you. My heart won't let my feet do things they should do.
You know what? You're lovely,
And so what? I'm lovely.
but oh, what you do to me. I'm like an ocean wave that's bumped on the shore.
I feel so absolutely stumped on the floor.
When you dance, you're charming and you're gentle, especially when you do the continental.
But this feeling isn't purely mental. For heaven rest us, I'm not asbestos.
You're incendiary. A fine romance with no kisses. A fine romance, my friend. This is, you're calmer than the seals in the Arctic Ocean. At least they flap their fins to express emotion.
A fine romance, my good fellow. You take romance, I'll take jello.
Jello, you never give the orchids I send a glance. No, you like cactus plants. This is a fine romance.
Just as you were going, leaving me all at sea. The clouds broke, they broke, and oh, what a break for me.
Can't you see it's time to come get together? Let the dance floor feel your leather. Step as lightly as a feather. Let yourself go.
Come, hit the timber, loosen up and start to limber. Can't you hear that hot marimba? Let yourself go. Let yourself go, relax. Let yourself go, relax. You got yourself tied up in a knot. The night is cold, but the music's hot.
Ladies and gentlemen, Isabel Leonard.
Well, Isabel, such a fun number. I was so glad to hear that reference to Carmen. And we have viewers watching from across the United States in Salt Lake City, Chicago, New York City, and also we have viewers in Argentina, France, and South Africa.
Ooh, I love it.
Absolutely wonderful. So let's go straight into the questions. So we have one from Katrine. She says, the soprano often gets the starry roles in opera. What are the advantages of having a mezzo-soprano voice, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think it's just an advantage in and of itself to be able to sing all of the music, whatever it may be. I don't know. I like to run the fine line of, do I sing soprano repertoire? Do I sing mezzo repertoire? I try to, get my tentacles out as far as I can in terms of what I can sing. So I've always loved the repertoire that I've been able to perform and to learn. Would I love to be able to sing super high soprano rep? Yes. Do I have friends that sing it exquisitely? Yes. Do I want to even try to get anywhere near what they have to do? No, because it's so hard. So there's also that level of, I'm happy to learn what's well within my parameters. It's all really so much fun, and I think the longer that we're in quarantine, the more desperate we are to get back on stage. And at this point, I'll sing anything. Give me a tenor role, I'll do it.
I absolutely feel the sentiment. And we have another good question here from Teresa. I hope I'm saying that correctly. What opera role have you not performed, but that you want to?
So this program, actually, this was perfect little tie-up at the end there with Michael Feinstein with the little Carmen, the hark back to the Carmen from the beginning of the program. So I was supposed to make my debut in Houston at Houston Grand this September, October in Carmen. It was going to be my first Carmen, and unfortunately, because of the state of things at the moment, they had to cancel their season, which is heartbreaking and understandable all at the same time. So my debut at Carmen will be in another opera company. However, I will, fingers crossed, go back to Houston to be able to perform it there at some point in the future. So I would say that it's been a long time coming to sing Carmen. It was one of the roles that I had been asked, actually, when I was a very young singer, if I would sing in a very large house many years ago, like 15 years ago. And of course, my initial reaction was, and then I thought, no, it's too soon. It's not the right time. I still have a lot of learning to do. And now we're kind of coming up to that time where it's the right time. So Carmen is going to be, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a thing.
Well, I know that I can speak on behalf of all of us probably that we can hardly wait to see you in that role, and we eagerly use that as something to look forward to when hopefully soon emerging from this period. We have a third question here from Harriet. Oh, and I'm curious about this too. Which is more taxing, singing a recital or performing a leading role in an opera?
Oh, it's a good question. I think they both have, obviously, like anything, pros and cons. Like I said before, anything at this point, when it comes to performing, is going to feel like a pro for all of us as we're all dying to get back to stage. I would say it depends on the role, to be honest, and the kind of recital program that maybe you've put together. Recitals can be taxing if you've put together a program of a lot of taxing music. And since it's generally just you and a pianist or, a guitar player or whoever it is that you're working with, you could make it easy, you can make it difficult for yourself, but you're certainly making the choice yourself, right? So whatever you put yourself through is entirely of your own doing. Whereas with an opera role, of course, you're hired to do a role, and then with that comes whatever challenges the role has itself for you, whether it's technically or theatrically, and then whatever other challenges may arise just by being in the production, whether it's your interactions with the director or the conductor or the company. And so there are a lot of other elements, that are in play in those situations. As far as the singing goes, again, I think it really just depends on the music. The difference, very obvious difference is, in an opera, you generally, as a main character, or even as any character, you have a moment to step off stage. You have a moment to get a glass of water or to use the restroom, or you have a whole scene or 15, 20 minutes, or who knows how long, where you're sitting in your dressing room, doing crosswords or whatever it is that you do. Whereas with the recital, it's just a lot more smushed together.
Well, Isabel, before we introduce our last number, I just wanted to say it's been such a pleasure speaking with you, and I thank you for everything that you do and the inspiration that you bring to people. I've loved following your Isa chats on your Instagram.
Oh, thanks.
It's provided a lot of calm for a lot of people, I think. So
I'm glad to hear that. It's been an interesting it's been an interesting time for everybody, and I've been so fortunate to do these little live chats, like you said, on Instagram and talk to my friends. And I always say it's really mainly for me. It's sort of a selfish endeavor where I get to call my friends and chat with them and see how they're doing and just hear their voices and see their faces. I haven't seen people face to face like all of us in so long now. So that's been a great thing. Instagram has been a good platform for now.
And certainly until our next meeting, I wish you health and safety, and I'm looking forward to following all of the projects. And let's introduce our final number, which is, I know your French is better than mine is, Tu n'es pas beau, tu n'es pas riche, from Jacques Offenbach, his La Péricole.
Indeed. This is a fun piece. This is a great piece. If people don't know La Péricole by Offenbach, I would implore you to go research and just check it out. It's a very funny piece. It's a story about La Péricole and Piquillo, her boyfriend, who are two Peruvian street performers. And I will try to keep this as short as possible. I'm very bad at that. Essentially, they're in love. They want to get married. They don't have enough money to do so. The vice-roi of the city takes a liking to La Péricole. She sees an opportunity in this to get the money she needs, the pesos or that she needs in order to get the marriage license so she can marry Piquillo. So she takes this opportunity to sort of, I was going to say get with, but she doesn't get with the vice-roi, to sort of go with the vice-roi in order to get this money. And then, of course, ensues the normal chaos that one has in opera. And, of course, everything works out towards the end. But this particular aria, she is singing to Piquillo when he has been thrown into jail by the vice-roi because he's now sort of getting a whiff of what's happening. And she says, tu n'es pas beau, tu n'es pas riche. But then she says, but je t'adore. So she kind of goes insulting him a little bit. She's a little annoyed because he's sort of messed up the plan. And she says, you're a big pain in the butt, but I still love you. And it's just one of the sweetest arias, and I love it.
Well, we thank all of our viewers, and we look forward to hearing this number. Thank you to everyone.
Tu n'es pas beau, tu n'es pas riche, tu manques tout à fait l'esprit. Tes gestes sont ceux d'un godiche, ton sang est en banque dont on rit. Le talent, c'est une autre affaire, tu n'en as guère de talent. De ce qu'on doit avoir pour plaire, tu n'es presque rien. Et pourtant, je t'adore, brigand, j'ai honte à l'avouer. Je t'adore et ne puis vivre sans t'adorer. Je t'adore, brigand, j'ai honte à l'avouer. Je t'adore et ne puis vivre sans t'adorer. Je n'ai pas la bonne chair, on dîne chez le vice-roi, tandis que toi pauvre aile, on mourrait de faim avec toi. J'en avais chez lui de la joie, je pouvais prendre tant et tant. J'avais du velours, de la soie, de l'or, des bijoux. Et pourtant, honte à l'avouer. Je t'adore.